Hi, welcome to Smith and Grezzy. It's that time of year again. You've all been waiting for the area pieces to be announced. Well, here it is. But one thing that struck me, Sandy, before we move on,
Hmm.
there is nothing quite like this series of contests anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I know we had a chat about this recently, and we keep people keep comparing these regionals areas, whatever you want to call them, contests to the Norwegian Championships or the Swiss Championships or the French Championships, wherever it happens to be, North American. Um, as far as I know, and I stand to be corrected if this is not the case. Um, we are the only country, and I'm counting, Scotland, England, Wales,
Yeah.
um, that has basically a qualifying contest to get to your national finals.
Yeah.
So we're talking a totally different animal, and it's one thing for all the negatives in banding and the sort of doom and gloom, and we spread a little happiness like that sometimes, but uh, we've got about 500 competitive brass bands in this country.
It's a lot, isn't it?
It's
Still.
it's a hell of a lot. I mean, and then we go to places like Cheltenham, which is happening today, and the Albert Hall in a few weeks' time. That's our finals.
Yeah.
So that's the equivalent of the Norwegian finals or the Swiss Championships, whatever it happens to be, where you have the best bands there. They have
Yeah.
all the bands. Um, and this contest is quite unique in that aspect. And it doesn't bear comparison to some of those events
No.
because of what it's trying to do. And there are things which we always talk about when we have the meetings. And the meeting for this regionals, um, picking these pieces, was back end of May, I think. It was a Saturday. We
Yeah.
were in Birmingham. Um, and we got together and talked about these. And the things that they were always talking about is we're aware that bands have to I was going to say put up with these pieces, and maybe in some cases they feel that. They're going to rehearse these pieces for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. Some of the bands, you know.
Yeah.
So we need pieces that are going to stand repeated rehearsal over a long period of time. We know the difficulties there are of getting people to rehearsals fully all the time in all
Yeah.
bands. So we've got to make the music accessible in that way that it doesn't become a drudge, doesn't become boring. And we've also got to think of things like audience.
Yeah.
Is this piece audience friendly? Is it a test? Is it enjoyable to play? Is it encouraging bands to put the work in? And will an audience stay and hear this specific piece repeated times during?
Well, the utopia for me, Sandy, would be getting competing bands listening to each other. It's a
We've
it's a great
lost
learning
that.
curve.
We've lost that, and it is important. It is important to learn, and it does inform as well because
Yeah.
it's all right saying, oh, I thought everybody had us third, and we ended up 11th. I got, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Did you hear anybody? No, I was in the bar. Yeah, well, there you go. Um, but anyway, those are all points that we can come to. So anyway, we had our meeting, and these are the pieces that we came up with. So we're going to go through them, aren't we?
Yeah,
From fourth
just for
section.
the listeners, Sandy, can you just tell me who was on that panel?
Okay, yeah, yeah. So Philip Morris is there, the owner of Capital
Yeah.
Promotions, um, and Philip sort of not chairs the meeting, but he's there as the
Yeah.
head of the thing and
Yeah.
and oversees it. His right hand man, Tim Jones, who does the admin, a lot of the admin at Capital.
Yeah.
Tim's there. He's the one that organises us all, sorts out everything. And then we had uh, five panel members. So we've got Bob Childs,
Yeah.
Andrea Price, who's
Yeah.
just joined the panel,
Yeah.
John Mains, who's been
Yeah.
there a long time, myself, and Duncan Beckley. So
Right.
there's five of us at the moment,
Right.
and we have all done. This is all free grass. We get a train fare back, and that's your lot. which is fine because it's a very interesting and enjoyable exercise to go through.
I bet there's a lot of work goes into it.
There's a hell of a lot. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
everybody is putting the work in behind the scenes, listening to, oh God, I don't know how many pieces, right? Old ones, new ones, taking a note of what the reaction's been to the previous years,
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
change things up a bit, maybe if you're a certain type of piece
Yeah.
for a year or two, then we'll try and change it a bit.
Mix it up a
You
bit.
know,
Yeah.
it's there's a lot of work goes into it. I mean, we often see comments that they just put the hand in a hat and picked a piece out.
It's
Nothing
quite naive. Yeah.
could be further from the truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how. Yeah, there's a lot of work goes into it. So
So here we go. For the fourth section, Area Piece 2026 is
Indian Summer, Eric Ball.
wonderful.
So this has been. It's a classic piece, right?
It
No
is.
matter how you dress it up. Okay. We know the problems in the fourth section.
Yeah.
And they have been mentioned quite a lot. We have had some cracking pieces, I think, in the fourth section recently.
Yeah.
When you look at the areas, so the last two in particular, right?
Yeah.
Jock Thompson by Alan Fernie.
Yeah.
I can't remember the full title of that now. Anyway, Alan's
Music
piece.
for Jock Thompson.
Music for Jock Thompson. There we go. And that
Yeah.
went down a bomb. It was really well written, as you would imagine.
Lovely.
And last year we had Andrea Price's.
Now that was a real success, wasn't
Daedalus.
it?
It was absolutely
brilliant.
a stonking piece. It was
Yes.
brilliant, and it
Well
was
done, Andrea.
it was pitched beautifully. It was just right. There was interesting. The problem you get sometimes with four section pieces or lower section ones, especially some of the older ones, they're a bit boring.
Yeah.
They're a bit musically a bit simplistic. That wasn't. Neither was Jock Thompson. Right. They were both interesting pieces. Right.
Yeah.
So the thought was, okay, we've had two brand new pieces.
Yeah.
Really. And Indian Summer's always sort of knocking about in discussions and things like that.
Am I led to believe it's one of Philip Morris's favourites?
It is. He keeps banging on about it, you know. And I never think he thinks that, you know, we're going to... Because he doesn't actually have a vote in the thing, you know.
No.
But we were thinking, bands are complaining about lack of numbers to rehearsals, right? And... the new pieces, a lot of them, they are scored pretty through the band. So if you've got people missing, you're having to rescore stuff and all that.
I was going to say, Sandy, I took a look at the score on this over the weekend, and you're right, there's a lot of doubling up, but it's done like that for a reason, isn't it?
Yeah, it
used to be
that for a reason.
Common practice in the lower sections years ago.
It used to be common practice in a lot of concert stuff as well.
Yeah.
There was a lot of sort of thicker, heavier scoring. It doesn't mean that it's lesser music. I mean, we're talking about Eric Ball, for goodness sake, okay?
Yeah.
We're not talking about somebody just having a bash thinking they're a composer. We're talking about a proper composer, right? Yeah. It was written for the 1950 third section finals.
Right.
And it was last used in these contests. So when I say these contests, I'm meaning the regionals, the areas, or the finals. Okay, so we'll look at that a little bit and try and avoid stuff that's been used fairly recently. So it was last used as the area piece in 1999. So we're talking 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason we ended up plumping for this was to change the style a bit. And to make it easier for bands that may be struggling for players to attend the contest. Okay?
Well, I looked at the score, and I reckon you can get away with anything between 12 and 15 players on this.
You probably could at a push.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're going to lose out on certain things.
Yeah.
But then you could argue the other way. You could say the more players you've got, the more intonation problems you're going to have, all that sort of thing. You could argue both ways. We know that. But it is designed to try and give those bands that might be struggling a bit the chance to compete and at
Yeah.
least be there and take part in the thing. Okay?
What another thing I liked when I looked at the score, Sandy, was at the lower level of the banding pyramid is teaching players about different accentuations, and Eric Ball has really used a wide variety of different techniques to get notes at certain length and short, and he really has gone to town on this because there's lots and lots of different accentuations all the way through it.
I mean, when you've got the top section pieces, for example, that we
Yeah.
know and love, the old ones, that we were brought up on. Well, before that sort of time, we were brought up on this.
We were.
When we were kids.
Yeah.
But there are classic pieces, aren't there?
Yeah.
The Vinters, the Pageantries, the John Irelands, the Elgar, all that sort of stuff. This is the sort of equivalent of a classic piece for the lower section.
It is.
Yeah?
It is.
So it's written in 4 movements, and I'll read a little note that Eric Ball says in his score. This fantasy is in the form of a suite, although there should be no long break between each movement. Now, if you listen to recordings of it, some of the movements almost join up.
Yeah.
I'll give you the 4 movements. The first one is called The Great Chief Speaks. You've been having a listen to this, haven't you? How does that come across, that movement, to you?
Well, for one, I mean, it starts at 40, and obviously about 20 bars in, there's a double 40. On the recordings I've heard, all the bands are starting to play it too loud. And when it gets to that double 40, there's no impact. Right. And I'm talking about some really good bands here.
We know loads of instances where that is a thing in the piece, in top section pieces as well. Symphony Out of the Wayfarer is one.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Again, strangely, Eric Ball. Right, so there you go.
Yeah.
So that's a deliberate ploy, isn't it? He knows what's going to test a band. Can you control 40 without it being overblown and with it being balanced and in tune and together and all the usual things? And then can you show me your double 40?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you've shot your bolt, so to speak, before you get to bar 20 or wherever it is, then
you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. Yeah. So
that second movement is by Cool Waters.
Yeah.
And it's got a gorgeous cornet solo in it. It's not too high, not too low, but then this gorgeous solo is turned into a lovely duet with euphonium. And it's a real example of how to write for brass band. The counterpoint of it, and it's just superb.
The beauty of it is you write a melody that's within the range of the instrument at that level, and then you hand it over to the cornet player, and he or she has to say, right, okay, there you go, there's your melody, show me.
Yeah.
Prove how musical you are.
Yeah.
And this is where this was one of the sort of themes of these pieces was we're trying to get bands to play with heart, music, love, whatever you want to call it, a bit of nous, shaping things so that we're not just, like we said before about those big pieces, shoveling notes. Yeah. It's not about that. It's about them making the music. And that is a beautiful move. Also, playing it across the band, cornet player, euphonium player, having to dovetail in and listen to each other and play sympathetically to each other.
Yeah. Now, it is scored very, very thickly underneath them soloists. So conductors will have to take care with that.
There's various ways of doing it. We all know what they are. It depends how you want to go about it. But you often find that if you have maybe longer note stuff in accompaniments at that level, that players can switch off slightly.
Yeah.
And just sort of play the notes and think that that's sufficient. They have to be shaped sympathetically to what's going on in the main lines.
Yeah.
And again, there's a hierarchy. There's melodies, counter melodies, bass lines, harmony, whatever else.
Yeah.
But it's a lovely movement, that, and it's often taken out and played on its own. The third movement is called Totem Dance, which is quite self-explanatory.
It's Crotchet 138, this. There's a lot of semi-work. There's some semi-quaver work right at the end of the bar that need real attention get them clean.
That's the bam, ba-da-dum, bam,
Dum,
ba-da-dum.
ba-da-bum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the
All
one.
that sort of thing. It's exciting. Yeah,
It is a
exciting
fast
music.
movement, but it's got to have control of dynamics again.
Yeah, it does. There's
There's this.
plenty in this piece. Yeah.
We keep going on about play fast and loud. Well, you've really got to avoid that temptation in that movement.
Yeah, and with those semis at the end of the bar, we're not going to get
Yeah.
into too much detail about how to go
No,
about it.
no.
But there will be a tendency to rush across the bar lines, which will mean
It will.
that if that thing will gain tempo, the whole
It
thing
will.
will gain tempo. And then the last movement, Hymn to the Great Spirit,
Yep.
is a sort of miniature, I don't know, Great Gate of Kiev type
It is.
movement, isn't it? You know,
But the clue's in the title, Sandy. It's a hymn.
hymn. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is.
And again, on some recordings I've heard, it gets quite aggressive.
Yeah.
So it's up to conductors to find the right place for that.
It's a broad type of tune, and there's spaces in the score, you know, where the band have to land together.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
3/4 time. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
That all has to be together, balanced in tune, and that's it's the usual things. There's no secret sort of thing for this. It's all the usual basic stuff which will score in this piece. But we're hoping that that it's received quite well. There'll be the usual, why are we playing this? It's, 60, 70 years old. Well,
it's not. It's still a good piece of music for me.
Yeah. So, yeah, the problems this last week, we've had all sorts. Bruckner, Shostakovich, Rachmaninoff, hey-ho. Still good stuff,
Absolutely. So that's the fourth section piece. That is Indian Summer by Eric Ball. So the third section piece is the wonderful 3 Howarth Impressions by Gordon Langford. I can't tell you how pleased I am that you've picked this. When you told me what it was going to be, I was beaming, smiling, because I remember this very, very fondly. It is a fantastic piece of music.
Yeah. I mean, I first came across it. It was recorded in the late 70s by Black Dyke Mills Band. And as usual, they were recording a lot of Langford music, but this stuff is just so well written. There was, it's never been used for a British regionals or a finals contest. No, never.
It was written for it was actually commissioned by the Howarth Band.
Yeah.
In the village of Howarth, and I've got really fond memories of popping down there, for a rehearsal. I was only a youngster at Queensbury, and I used to pop down there and rehearse with this. And they were a very fine band in the time, in the 70s.
Yeah.
But like you say, Black Dyke recorded it, and it is a superb recording, by the way.
There has been a problem with it. Okay.
Okay.
The problem is that it's published by Chandos Music. And, I'm looking at this on and off for a little while and a bit and on with it. And it has been played out quite a lot. In fact, someone played it up at the Weatherby Bandstand concert.
They did, I heard it, yeah.
They played the final movement. So they used this piece in its current form. And it is usable and playable. The problem you've got is that when Gordon was writing stuff, he was certainly often writing concert pitch on his scores. So you would get a score in concert pitch, and then there would be, at the time, a copyist who would copy the parts out, no Sibelius finale, stuff like that, handwritten. They would copy the parts out. So this score has what's basically a condensed score. So that's how it's been published in the past.
But it's as it sounds.
Oh, it's exactly, it's the same.
Yeah, it's not in concert pitch.
The condensed score is in concert pitch. Yeah, the old one.
I stand corrected.
So
I'm sure mine's as it sounds.
You would have, for example, you're a soprano line, then you would have solo cornets and reps on another line. I can't remember exactly. I do have the original score somewhere through in the office. You would have the back row parts together. You would have all the horn
Yeah,
parts on one line. You would have the
that's right.
baritones and euphoniums together. You would have
Yeah,
three trombone parts all on a bass clef stave
yeah,
together, and you would
yeah,
have basically a tuba part, a bass, E flat bass and B flat bass
yeah,
together, maybe
yeah.
in octaves depending on what the scoring was doing, but written in bass clef.
Right.
So I think it's not been used so much because that would it causes problems for conductors who can't read
Yeah,
that sort of score. So this has been totally reset by Shandos Music
yeah.
as a normal brass band score.
Oh, wonderful.
Right, so you've got, sop, solo cornet, rep, seconds, thirds, flugel, solo, first, second, top, all the usual things,
Just as
all
we'd
the way down,
expect.
just as you would expect. And I think
Yeah.
they've taken the opportunity to tidy up any discrepancies there may be between the
Okay.
score and the parts and stuff like that. So I'm fully expecting that Shandos will have produced a new set for this, and
Yeah.
it'll be it's. They have assured us that
Yeah.
this will be proofread and correct and everything else.
Yeah.
So it's a new set, fully reset, if you want to put it like that.
Yeah.
But the music itself is just
Oh, it's
wonderful.
sublime. Well, it starts, Sandy, with a movement called Top Withens,
Mm-hmm,
which is reference to a farm up right above Haworth.
mm-hmm.
And it just so happens my dad used to live up there when he was
Right,
when he was a youngster. And when I told him about it, I was asking about Top Withens, and it's an actual farm, but it's
right,
been split into top, bottom, and middle. So
okay.
this is obviously the top farm. But he said to me, he says that, Simon, is the bleakest part of the world you could ever go to in winter.
Yeah,
It's horrendous, he said,
I would
because
imagine
it
it's
blows right across the
quite
moors.
high
Yeah,
up and wild. He's written a little synopsis of what the music's about. It is called Talk Withens, and then it's subtitled A General Evocation of the Atmosphere of Wuthering Heights.
yeah,
And this is what
yeah,
he writes about the music. This sinister opening motif symbolises the influence of the evil Heathcliff.
yeah,
Soon this motif experiences several changes of character in order to portray emotions other than those of hatred and jealousy. The overall mood is, however, one of gloom and foreboding. Now, I think it's a real challenge for bands like this. We're used to sort of light-hearted, easy,
yeah.
cheery music, and we sort of third section things. We've had a few pieces, sort of recently that have embodied that sort of thing. But this is dark music,
Yeah, well,
and
the thing is, bands will look at this, Sandy, and they'll think, oh, this is easy,
yeah,
until they try it. And it's getting that dark, foreboding atmosphere out of the piece,
there's really
out of
simple
that
things.
movement especially.
Yeah, I'm looking at the score now, and the very opening note. Basses have just two quavers, bomb,
Boom,
bomb.
boom.
But the trombones have a spaced chord.
They do,
Straight
yeah,
away, that's got to be in tune.
yeah,
And they're the only three playing,
yeah.
And then there's the eerie cornet figure. It never fails to amaze me what a master Gordon Langford
Oh, it
was.
was.
This was one of the easiest pieces when we chose them, and I think I'd
Mm,
put it forward, and when we got there, everybody said, "Yeah, it's absolutely
yeah.
fantastic."
Well, you made my day because I'm conducting a band in the third section, so it
There's
really made my day. I was like, yes.
there's plenty of opportunities all the way through this for soloists,
Oh yeah,
sections. Um,
it's a
it's
huge challenge.
it is a huge challenge. And it builds and builds and builds. There's big sounds in it,
Yeah.
these dark sounds. You get to 49. There's that little horn tune that is
Yeah.
in unison, and then it's passed round. The basses have bits to do,
Yeah.
and it builds and builds and builds up to
Huge
fortissimo
chordal stuff in it.
about bar 65, 6, 7, 8, and
Yeah.
bar 69. Then at 77, fortissimo,
Yeah.
pesanti,
Yeah.
3/40s, pesanti. Now that just doesn't mean blow like hell and razz it, straight in the bell. That has still to be controlled,
It
right? The
does.
best bands will do that.
Yeah.
It then dies down, and then we get a section later on where the tune is in the bottom end of the band, and the top end of the band, they do a bit of like that connotations
Yeah, they
variation
swap it
of
around.
get that da, 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 da,
Yeah.
da, da. They're
Yeah.
moving those through the band.
And
That'll take a bit of
there isn't a fifth one, is there? So it's
no,
just the four, which is
yeah.
hard to do.
Then it ends up there's a bit of a flugel solo towards the end. Cornet duet comes back, and it ends very quietly,
Yeah.
subdued, pensive, dark. But it's I think it's wonderful
It's
descriptive
stunning
music.
music. It
Yeah,
is.
it's really good. I think they're going to enjoy this.
The second movement, go on,
Go on.
it's called The Three Bells.
Mm,
And it's referenced to pseudonyms adopted by Anne Charlotte and Emily Bronte, the famous sisters of Haworth.
well, just read the note. The music begins with three bell notes.
It
A
does, yeah.
flat for Acton Bell. So Anne Bronte called herself Acton Bell. So it was a
Yeah.
pseudonym when she was writing.
Yeah.
C flat for Currer Bell, who was Charlotte
Yeah.
Bronte, and E flat for Ellis
Ellis Bell.
Bell, who was Emily Bronte. And these three notes form the basis of a wistful waltz tune. Again, the mood is rather sombre, save for a brighter middle section, and the opening motif from
Yeah.
Top Withins is to be heard, again symbolising the frustrations and ill fortune by which their lives were plagued. Now, the lives of the Bronte family are very well documented. Still today, yes. The place is heaving with Bronte acolytes and tourists, yeah, and stuff like that.
Oh, it's a massive tourist destination.
The music, though, I mean, this waltz, band's sort of out of touch maybe a little bit with playing, yeah, waltzes properly.
Yeah.
It's very gentle. It's really, really nice music to listen to. There's loads of control needed by dynamics. Stepped accompaniment dynamics. There's all sorts. So, for instance, I'm just looking through here, picking little bits as we go. Bar 48, 40 in the tune, MP in the trombones, MF in the horns, 40 in the euphoniums, 40 in the basses. It's going to take a bit of balance in all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, it is.
But it's just beautiful music, and then it modulates into the major for a bit, and then back in you've got the Top Withins thing coming back towards the end, and it's just typical Langford stuff. It's just, again, good music, loads of good stuff to listen to.
It comes across as very wistful but yet sombre.
Yeah, it does. It's just cracking, I think.
Yeah.
The final movement is called the Worth Valley Railway. The Brontes were not the only people in Haworth, and not all is desperation and gloom. The third impression is a celebration of the victory of the people of Haworth in their fight to retain their railway. The 9/8 rhythm of a slow train is prominent, and our once sombre motif is transformed into a triumphant fanfare. So, I mean, it's so descriptive. I know there are train pieces that, Alan Fernie's arrangement of Ticket to Ride is great.
Yeah.
You've got Arthur Butterworth's Royal Border Bridge, all that.
Yeah.
But this starts off with
the start of it is brilliant.
Yeah.
The way it winds the train up.
Sort of winding up, yeah. And then it chromatically winds up, and then you get this bum, 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 that this train sound going on all the time. And again, but it is light-hearted. It'll put a smile on your face. Again, you get precision in all the. There's bits here I'm just looking through, just picking little bits out. Bar 23, the back row cornets are going to play exactly together. Horns have this figure just before, so they're playing in 9/8, and they're in harmony all the way through, balance, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this piece is going to go down really well. I suspect it's not been played much, not because it's not any good, but because of the way the score was written.
Yeah.
And it'll put people off that. The score should now be fully expanded. So we have what we would think is a normal brass band score.
Yeah.
It's just great music, lovely to listen to. Lovely. I think it'll be a joy to rehearse.
I'll tell you what, Sandy, if anybody's wondering about it, Haworth is a lovely place to visit. And especially a little ride on that railway. It gives you... Gordon Langford depicts it so well.
He does. He does. I mean,
It's brilliant.
Yeah, but go up to Top Withens in the middle of December and have a look at it.
It's not advisable.
But
absolutely. So that's the third section piece. 3 Haworth impressions by Gordon Langford. The second section piece for 2026 is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by the one and only Philip Harper.
Yeah, so this turned up. It's all been written reasonably recently. And it was commissioned by the Orchestre de Cuivre d'Amiens. Okay. Please, French people, don't write in. Brass bands, the 35th anniversary. Philip's done stuff like this before, right? We'll read the programme note and it'll explain a little bit. It has been picked for the 2026 North American Championships in the third section.
Yeah.
And the 2025 French Championships in the third section. We had a good look at this, and I think it is definitely too difficult for third section.
Having had a listen today, Sandy, I would concur with that.
There's a lot of good stuff in it. If I read you out what Phil's written in his programme note, Frenchman Jules Verne was a pioneer in science fiction during the late 19th century, penning some classic stories such as, and these are the ones that have already been done, Journey to the Centre of the Earth, Peter Graham did that, and Around the World in 80 Days. I think both of which have already been the subject of brass band test pieces. So I think they're both Peter Graham, aren't they? I know Peter's into this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It was therefore natural for me to choose Verne's 1869 Watery Magnum Opus as the subject for this piece, to which there are 5 sections, as well as an introduction and finale. So it's through composed piece. There is an introduction, which starts very quietly, basses, bit of percussion. It's not an easy start. It's a very quiet introduction. I would say that this has definite film music influences. It's very, very descriptive music, clever stuff, and there are some modern sounds in it as well.
Yeah, I mean that did come across today for me.
Yeah, there are. Again, we're looking at trying to contrast things a bit with the area pieces. Friendly Takeoff was pretty easy going stuff. Triptych was again a classic good piece. We were trying to get something that was new, but a bit different as well. But
this is certainly different.
Still containing. I mean, the scoring is immaculate.
It is,
as you would imagine. He knows what he's doing, Philip. There are lots and lots of really good descriptive things. The
one thing I like about Philip's arranging and compositions is he writes the instrumentation where it should be.
Practical writing,
Yes.
Often what happens is when you speak to people who can't score properly, and they have, just bad scoring. What you get is, I'm trying. I was actually trying for a colour there, and no, you've got, instruments grovelling about on bottom G's and F sharps. It's just poor scoring, mate. It's not. But there's none of that. He is given, like Langford, he gives players the chance to play their instruments well, to play musically.
He doesn't try and trip them up.
Well, it's. I just think it's a cheap trick. You don't want to be one of those composers who thinks, what's the hardest note on the instrument? Find out from a bass trombone what the hardest note is, and then I'll stick that in the cadenza. That's just cheap. But anyway, this is not like that at all. It's very descriptive. There are certainly elements of, you can imagine this in your head as a film. Right. Yeah. So the first movement, the Nautilus. So the Nautilus was Captain Nemo's submarine, That was the
Right.
name of his ship. So this is a description of that. It's in
Right.
compound time when it gets going. There are lots and lots of good things, a bit of technical stuff here and there as well, which shouldn't be too difficult.
Yeah.
Lots of dynamic contrast, and then that melts into the second movement, which is called the Coral Kingdom. We visit
Mm.
awe-inspiring underwater coral formations. I mean, this one, there's so many sort of
When I were
watery.
listening to this today, Sandy, I had
Yeah,
a piece, Submerged Cathedral, in my
yeah,
head.
yeah. Debussy.
And I thought, yeah, it's
There
very
is
not. It's nowhere near the same, but
no.
it just gives you that sort of sound colour that you're looking for.
There's all sorts of filigree cornet stuff going
Yeah,
on here in the
yeah,
background, sort of tinkling away, almost like starlight glinting off
yeah,
the water in the water and stuff. It's a lot. There's a lot of muted stuff that will need to be taken care of as far as balance and intonation
yeah,
is concerned. There's a lot of broody sort of chordal stuff going
yeah,
on as well, lower down. But again, it is just very, very descriptive music.
yeah,
Um, there's a bit of elasticity going on as well in
yeah,
some of there's a bit of tempo movement and things. There's a few little solos. Youth gets a chance, horn gets a bit of a chance, and then it sort of merges into the next movement, which is movement number 3, is called Squid Attack. The Nautilus is attacked by a school of giant squid or devilfish. So this is real film music stuff, right? So you've
yeah,
got this sort of menacing sort of Jaws like bass
yeah,
line going on, and you've got a lot of unison writing in sections, and
yeah,
it's just exciting stuff. I think bands
yeah.
will really enjoy this. There's a
I
bit of
do.
sort of French horn type writing in there for the horns.
Yeah,
Uh, it'll have to be very clean. There's loads of dynamic contrast. Where you're suddenly dropping from 40 to piano and back up.
yeah.
All of that will have to be balanced and controlled. There's a lot of sort of I, I was going to say wishy-washy. I don't mean the writing is wishy-washy. I
No.
mean that sort of the wash of
Yeah,
sound
yeah,
of the sea and
yeah,
things going on, uh, all the way through that, and it's just again really exciting stuff. It does lift right up to fortissimo at letter N, and it's full pelt. This is the
yeah,
attack's in full. It's going at full pelt there. There's loads and loads and loads to look at.
yeah,
And again, this movement eventually subsides away, and we get the next movement, which is movement 4, Captain Nemo.
yeah.
Uh, Captain Nemo is a loner and an eccentric, Philip writes. Some say he is a madman. Soloists of the band helped to uncover the character of this enigmatic but powerful figure. So this is I'm loath to
That
say it's the heart of the piece, but this is one that's going to take a lot of. It's
it
going to have
sounds
to
like
be
they're going to have
good.
to find the characters, aren't they?
They are. So there's solos for quite a few people.
Hmm.
Cornet, baritone. I'm just looking over here. Horn, trombone rather. Uh, there's a bit for the horn, baritone duets, bit of euphonium duet things, little solos that are motifs that are thrown around the band. Sop gets a bash. And the trombones are used in a lot of accompaniment sort of modes and bell effect things.
Yeah,
They'll have to be balanced. Again, it builds to a majestic climax, at letter T, and then the down. See, this is again this sort of thing happens where at letter T there's a sort of we're in 3/4 time, and it rises up to 40, and then you've got 2.5 bars, and then in that third bar there's another crescendo to fortissimo.
right.
So
The
we're talking
waves.
about not
Yeah,
overblowing.
yeah, yeah,
Keep your powder dry till it really matters.
yeah,
Then the flugel's left hand dry on a pause, little solo, few filigree bits to finish. Basses get
yeah,
a chance in octaves to shine, and then we're into the next movement, the movement number 5,
yeah.
Maelstrom. The Nautilus is dragged into the ocean's deadliest whirlpool, but Captain Nemo lives to fight another day. So again, this starts menacingly, quiet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scale work going at different speeds as this thing sort of. It's like the whole thing's being wound up, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and it eventually bursts out at fortissimo letter U. Loads of things going on, plenty to interest the players.
Yeah.
Yeah, the percussion is again it's quite integral all the way out, but it's not wildly way out.
No.
There's not tons and tons of percussion,
No.
but it is important.
Yeah.
Um, and then it builds up and up and up again. There are lots of chances. There's a bit of a reprise of stuff, and then there's a bit of an allegando into a vivace. So the final sort of dozen bars is fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll need to be managed really well. But I don't think there's. Go on.
On listening of it today, because obviously I've only been letting in on the secret today.
Yeah.
It's a challenge for conductors as well as players, is this?
Yes, it is.
Well, they all have been so far. They all will be. But this
is
has
deliberate.
got to find characters.
Yeah. It's not just enough to play the notes.
No.
And we'll see that in the next two pieces as well.
Yeah.
Playing the notes is the basic standard that should be there.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
This is
a fantastic composition.
Finding me, I think it's great. I think it's, it's so clever. I think bands again will really enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's quite a substantial piece. There are full music elements, which it's not a good or bad thing. It's just, I think that's just the way it sounds. But it's interesting, descriptive music. It does what it says on the tin. There's a squid
I'll tell you
attack,
something else,
and it shows
Andy.
you how it goes.
This will keep reappearing.
I think so.
In own choice pieces.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so that's the second section piece, which is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by the one and only Philip Harper. The first section piece for 2026 areas is Variations on Was Levitt by Andrew Wainwright.
Yeah. So
I've been a big fan of Andrew Wainwright for a while now.
He's done some cracking stuff.
He has.
And he's a composer who knows his trade.
He does. Am I right in saying he lives in America now?
I think so. Yeah. He runs his own publishing company. I think his background is Salvation Army.
Right.
Which is good because you can always tell the ones that have been brought up with the sort of the Dean Goffin, Robert Redhead. Yeah. There's lots of them. Ken Downey scoring.
He's used that technique in this piece, hasn't he?
Very well read.
Yeah.
Scoring wise, this piece was written in 2017. It was used at the 2022 Swiss Nationals for the second section, and the 2024 Dutch Nationals for the second section. Then people have said, it's second section. Why are we playing in the first section? Well, wait till you get it out.
Listen first. To it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Get it out and then complain. And we've already explained about why this contest is the regionals, the areas, is a unique contest.
Yeah.
Right, and something that we should be rightly proud of, that we have this number of bands competing. So I'll read out the program note that Andrew's written on the thing. Based on the German chorale Vos Lebet, O Worship the Lord in the Beauty of Holiness, is its English title. The piece is made up of 5 contrasting variations. A majestic fanfare-like section opens the work, leading into a giucoso classical style variation. The beautiful variation 2 is reflective and plaintive, while the next variation is somewhat quirky and volatile in nature. There is a French romantic feel in variation 4, with a playful waltz. Again, right? Waltzes cause problems, right?
They do.
Providing scope for various soloists around the band to display their musicianship. So again, everybody gets a crack of the whip.
Yeah.
Variation 5 is fugal in nature, right? So, and again, this is one of the things that I think often causes bands problem. When you've got a fugue playing, and you have a group of instruments obviously at the same sort of pitch. So as an example, I'm not saying this is on this piece, but it starts off in the tubas, the basses.
Yeah.
Everybody's playing together. It's got to be bang on together.
Yeah.
Then you have another section coming. They've got to be together. Then
Yeah.
it all builds up.
And
You
it
have
builds
to
on top
balance
of
it.
each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fugues are really a good way of differentiating a good band and an ordinary band.
Without a doubt.
So it says variation 5 is fugal in nature, with each section of the band being handed the theme at various points. The sense of motion builds gradually to a grandiose presentation of the theme, the first time that it is heard in its full form, bringing the work to a thrilling, majestic conclusion. So, I mean, we're not going to go through the score and just pointing things out and stuff, but one thing that struck me when I got to know this piece really well is that its Salvation Army background is absolutely evident.
Yeah.
And it's you can tell the influence of people like Eddie Gregson,
Yeah.
Peter Graham as well. I hear Peter Graham in this piece a bit. Two influences that not bad influences if you're going to have some. Gregson and Peter Graham. And again, it's immaculately scored. Immaculately. There's so much invention in this. There's so much interest all the way through this piece. We won't go through the whole thing.
Yeah. It's really busy.
There is some busy. You need to be able to double tongue.
Yeah.
That's a technique which is maybe not exploited as much as it used to be. No. It should be an essential technique. If you're a first section band, you should all be able to double tongue.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair assumption. There's loads and loads of good writing in this. The bit I like all of it. I think it's a great piece. The bit that really I'm really looking forward to seeing what the bands make of is Variation 5, which is the fugue.
Yeah.
And after all that guff I said about starting with the basses, this one starts with the cornets. And then it goes to the horns, passes over, and the dynamic is quite low to start. It's MP. Right. There are no crescendo until, I don't know, I'm guessing here. There's about probably 16 bars, 15 of which are at MP. And there's some technique involved in this as well. So we're looking at technique at quiet dynamics, which is, again, things that bands struggle with. And then you've got a 2-beat crescendo to MF. And then it carries on being handed around the band onto the baritones. They get a chance to shine. Euphoniums, basses, then the trombones. Everybody gets a go. And this fugue builds and builds up. There's
one question that all soprano players in the first section will be asking: have they got an easier ride?
They've got a different ride.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
necessarily say it's easier.
Con them by saying it's easier. No. Yeah. But we know the difficulties that were caused by Morley Calvert's introduction, Elegy and Caprice, which again was a deliberate experiment to see if bands could cope with that sort of piece. A more sort of academic piece that's maybe not as overtly exciting and modern sounding. And the bands, they did struggle.
They did.
A lot of bands did struggle with that. This piece is very much in the modern sort of brass band scoring, sounds, the tonality of it, if that makes sense. It's exciting music. And again, we've got a big, majestic ending. Yeah. I think the scoring in this is some of the best I've seen for a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't think there should be any complaints at all about the standard of the piece or the actual writing of it. I think it's a really, really top class piece.
And it's a tough test.
It's a tough test, but it has to be.
Yeah.
We need to sort these things out. We need to make sure that there's nobody sort of either slipping up into the top section or slipping down. We need to try and give bands as much opportunity as we can to be to be technical where it's required and musical where it's required as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
that's the first section piece, Variations on Was Lebet by Andrew Wainwright. So the championship section piece for 2026 area competitions is Elgar Variations by Martin Ellaby.
Yeah.
This is a cracker, this one.
It
I
is a
love this
cracker.
piece.
It is a cracker. We've had various pieces. Let's look at this since COVID, okay? And we're talking area pieces only.
Yeah.
So 2022 contest music, Red Priest the year after, Phil Wilby's Red Priest, Variations on an Enigma of Philip Sparks in 2024, and Bourgeois Diversions last year.
Yeah.
And I know there was some questioning of diversions, but to be brutally honest,
It did half sort them out.
it did. It did, and it caused huge problems.
It did.
It was a quirky, tongue-in-cheek sort of piece,
Yeah.
which was a little bit harder to understand. It didn't contain all the big gestures that people are used to. The background to Martin Ellaby, and you and I both know Martin really well.
Yeah, yeah.
This was written for the 2007 European Championships. Okay? So it was a European set test piece. It's never been used at the nationals or the areas.
Yeah.
It has been set, strangely, and it's been set for the Senior Cup in 2008 and 2012.
Really?
Twice.
I don't remember that.
I can't, no. That seems a slightly strange choice for me. Anyway, it was used at the English Nationals, that the defunct now.
Yeah.
I was going to say sadly defunct, but it's not sad.
Yeah. No. That's where I know this piece from. I played with Brighouse that day, but it was second.
Okay. 2011. And it was used at the North American Championships in 2013, top section, amongst others. There are a few other contests. But it's not been used ever for these contests, for the regionals or for the nationals.
That's really strange.
Yeah, but Martin's a composer that we both know well. I mean, Martin's background goes back. When I was at Fairies, Martin was writing regularly. He was big mates with Jim Gourley.
He was, yeah.
And he wrote various pieces. We played brilliant pieces like Vistas.
Yeah.
And there was other ones as well. He wrote the horn concerto for me.
Yeah.
The thing about, and then we went to write some pieces for YBS and Dave.
He did Terra Australis.
Yeah. So, and Martin's, at the time he was writing, this is Fairies in the sort of mid-late 90s, and then YBS in the 2000s. Two very, very, very good bands.
Yeah.
Right? And Martin exploited that. He was forever listening at band and coming to rehearsals and listening. And Martin's writing it's quite high in places for a lot of
the top end of the band. Yeah.
The top end of the band.
Yeah.
Horns upwards. He used to write sky high for the horns.
Yeah.
And the cornet parts as well, flugel, everything. Yeah. They're consistently at a high tessitura. Yeah. A lot of these parts, euphonium parts as well, baritone, maybe trombone, all the sort of solo-y instruments in each section are quite high set.
Yeah.
Right? And that was his way of getting his sounds. That's how he did it. If I read you the note that Martin writes, it's very illuminating actually.
Yeah.
So this is Martin Ellaby speaking here. The year 2007 marked the 150th anniversary of the birth of the British composer Sir Edward Elgar. And as such, I thought it an appropriate moment to write something in tribute to this event. There are quite a few enigmas about this piece, and they're all intentional, he says. So, first and foremost is that the variations are not constructed on any of Elgar's actual themes. It's strange this, because when you listen to it, you think, God, I recognise that.
Yeah,
it's not quite. It's you know. Rather, I have written a sequence of contrasting sections, all played without a break, on the essence and character of his musical style. I have also written this work with this, and this is the really interesting bit, right, for me. I have also written this work with bands, the soloists within, conductors, and not least their audience firmly in mind.
Yeah.
The language is essentially tonal and the test musical rather than overtly technical. I think bands might disagree with you there, Martin, about there's no technical stuff in this.
Oh, there is.
From what we basically mean is technical. There are no this is another interesting thing, and this was one of the reasons that I think this is a cracking choice. There are no tempo indications other than suggested metronome marks. I have deliberately kept things to a minimum, as the true test here is to find the style and interpret that aspect over the whole structure. So we're not talking about just banging through at one tempo, a mark tree and a suspended cymbal into the next slow section, and then a pause, and then banging away at 168 again. We're not talking about
Strikes me that it probably feels that each movement's the bands have got to find the right tempo for it.
Yeah. Whereas the faster sections are more or less self-explanatory, the slower parts require deliberate rubato and much feeling. This is for the conductors to discover, and I encourage them to do so. Adjudicators should be fully aware that I sanction this aspect, but it requires an insight and understanding to successfully execute, so any old thing will not suffice.
That's illuminating that. I like that.
I mean, he's basically saying getting the notes isn't enough, right?
No.
You're going to have to listen to proper Elgar.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking about the symphonies, the cello concerto,
yeah,
the oratorios, and there's loads and loads of it, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about getting to know how Elgar's music is structured, and to bring that music out. This will be a test for conductors, as well as the basic test is to play the bloody thing, right? So that obviously, note wise, and it's a hell of a blow. It's a big, big blow. It's exciting music. It's lovely music, and there are some absolutely beautiful bits in it.
Yeah.
And there's some exciting stuff in it. But if you cannot control instruments, and it's the rehearsal of this that is going to take its toll, because a lot of this stuff we've said is it's open up the score at any point, and there's high stuff. High, yeah. I mean, and we're talking high, right? It's not unplayable. It needs to be balanced. Some of the fortissimos can't be fortissimo. They have to be, balanced and a little bit lighter. There is ample solo work for every single soloist in the band.
Yeah.
Sop, principal cornet, rep, flugel, solo horn, first baritone, solo trombone, 2 euphoniums, E flat bass, bit for the B flat and all. There's absolutely everything, and percussion, right?
Yeah.
There's some tricky percussion stuff in there as well. It's not overdone again with percussion. It's in context with Elgar. Let's put it that way. All right. Yeah. So that's what he says about any old thing will not suffice. It's going to be a conductor's job to shape this music, to extract the music for it. And I know we're going to talk about something similar a bit just after this briefly, about getting music out of pieces. But that is the thing about this piece. It's not just that, can you bash through this and play all the notes, don't split any and you'll win. It's not one of them.
No, not
unless you're making music in the style of Elgar, in this modern clothes that Martin Ellerby has put this style of music into. That's what you're going to have to do to win. It's a hard test piece. It's a difference test. But it has to be. Bands have to be flexible and be able to cope with all this. He finishes off his note by saying, the variation commencing at rehearsal letter P is the emotional core of the piece and requires, and this is again quite telling, a passionate but not saccharine approach to pacing and sensuality. The cadenza-type material is built into the process rather than being a separate sequence of entities. There are many allusions to the music of Elgar here without recourse to blatant pastiche. If it is if it is thought of as a series of songs and dances, this may help.
Yeah.
So all of this information is, I'm not making that up. It's from Martin's
No.
note in his score. Again, it has the big ending. Every soloist is tested. There's beautiful places in this piece to make music, and that was the reason. All of these pieces have a sense that, yeah, you can play the notes and they're good music. I think they're all quality pieces, but you're going to have to make music. Making music is
essential.
The heart of this piece.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a technical note fest. It's a musical piece, and it's a very hard piece to bring off.
All the times when people say, I wish the adjudicators would tell us what they want. Well, this time, the composer's telling you exactly what he wants.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's for MDs and adjudicators to take heed.
Yeah. I just think there's so much merit in this. In as much as Elgar is the stylistic heart of this piece.
Yeah.
So if you want to get more out of this, start listening to Elgar properly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Symphonies,
absolutely.
Overtures, concertos.
Over and over again.
Everything. Get to know these pieces. They are
Yeah.
absolutely magnificent pieces. The style is beautifully captured by Martin Ellaby, and it's a hard piece to bring off. You will need a lot of control and a lot of bottle, but above all else, a lot of musicality.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that this is where we need to be heading with music now, I think, bands. These contests, we've said, are unique. There is nothing like these elsewhere in the brass band world. Nobody has 500 bands competing in a contest to qualify for the finals. They just go straight to the finals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we are trying to cater for lots and lots of things. It's an audience-friendly piece.
Very much so.
Andrew Windwright's piece is the same. They're all the same. Phil's piece. They're every one of them.
Yeah.
Gordon Langford's, Eric Ball's piece. They are all audience. I don't think we could do much more to get good. Try to get good attendance in audiences. I think this is the sort of piece I can see Huddersfield Town Hall being absolutely packed out.
Yeah. So that's the championship section piece, Sandy. It's Elgar Variations by Martin Ellaby. And finally, last week's British Open, I went along, Sandy. I had a fantastic day.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. I loved the music. And there were a lot of people moaning about it, but
what, beforehand or afterwards?
Bit of both.
Okay.
But that hall stayed nearly full all day long. I went up to the trade stands 2 or 3 times, empty.
Yep.
Because people were in listening.
That's great. That is great. I mean, there's lots of little things we can dissect from this. We're not going to get into loads of detail, but it was an interesting piece, you know.
Very.
The fact that it was, as is, I have a little niggle with the times that Stephen Roberts has been commissioned for writing test pieces. He's done the Rimsky-Korsakov one. He's done the Tchaikovsky one, and then this one. Stephen Roberts' own music, when he's left to his own devices, I've heard some orchestral music, is fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
Different, totally different, and maybe too much for the British Open to say to Stephen, you know, fill your boots, write a 15-minute piece from scratch.
Well, he's very good at putting these pastiches together.
Yeah, he is, and I think that's one of the beauties of this one. I'm still not sure whether it works as an overall structure as a piece, but the good thing about it, and I went to a lot of rehearsals with one band, the actual quality of the source material, the Prokofiev music, is first class.
It is.
And again, there was no superfluous shoveling notes.
Yeah.
Nothing. It was all playable.
All
it was
in its place.
Clear, concise. It was good quality, and it worked. It worked in as much as it separated good playing from bad.
Yeah.
Okay, but it also worked for the fact there was no BS going on in the score, just
No, they
trying to
won't.
sort of be clever or anything like that. It was good quality stuff. And
Yeah.
the one thing that I was really quite happy with, and this sort of ties in a little bit with these um, scores we've just discussed about for the areas. It seemed, on the whole, the result, it seemed to reward the musicians.
It
There was
certainly did.
one or two little exceptions maybe that people wouldn't agree with, but on the whole, it seemed to reward the performances and the interpretations and the playing that
Yeah.
was musical,
Yeah.
which
It
I think
certainly
is
did that, Sandy.
absolutely brilliant.
It was. I mean, obviously, everybody will be scratching their head at Black Dyke. I think they were 16th. I'm not sure, but on the day, they will admit that they didn't play too well.
Hmm.
And it was puzzling that they got, just a decent clap at the end of it. But um, at the end of the day, they didn't play that well, and they'll know that more than anybody. But when it got to band number, well, I'll tell you what, Allborn played well.
Right,
When it got to band number 10, Brighouse, I've not long been a listener at brass band contests, but I do a lot now. And I tell you what, that was one of the best listening experiences I've ever had.
right.
It was pure theatre.
Hmm.
It was just wonderful. The playing was on another planet.
Right,
The cornet section sounded, well, the whole band did. A slot player, wonderful. All the soloists, great. The bottom end, great. But what really struck me was David King had obviously done his homework, and he brought absolute theatre to that stage. Now, after they'd played, I just knew that they'd win.
right.
But then you get bands like Trésor coming on and Corey. Yes, they played ever so well, really well. But it just didn't have that pure theatre that Brighouse had. And it was just mesmerising playing. Um, it literally blew us away. Not literally. It was that everybody were in shock at how good it was, and I've never seen a standing ovation like that at the British Open.
Right.
So overall, it was just one heck of a fantastic experience, and just a triumph for banding, really. Both the piece and the winning performance were just very special.
There's so many little things that you could discuss about this, and um, the use of this Prokofiev material, and we're talking about music that's, I mean, Prokofiev's, this is why Stephen's done it. He's out of copyright. So it's 70
Mm,
years. So
yeah,
this piece is older than that. So, it's at least 70 years old, right?
yeah,
You're talking about old music
yeah,
in theory, if you want to dress it up like that. But
yeah,
you're talking about quality music,
yeah.
right? One thing I think it does, and this is again opening another can of worms up, is
Go on, careful.
okay, if you want to perform Prokofiev's Romeo and Juliet dances
Yeah,
well, what are you going to do?
you go and listen to a good orchestra playing it.
Yeah, right. First thing you're going to do,
Yeah,
right? I'll go back to that in a minute. If you're going to listen to a modern test piece that's been written for something in the last 5 years, where are you going to go?
you'll
To the
listen to a
best,
band,
to the
the
best
best.
band that's playing.
Yeah,
Okay, right. The difference, and this is not to demean what bands are doing, but I'm talking about learning stuff.
yeah,
If you're going to listen to Prokofiev, you're going to listen to Michael Tilson Thomas and the San Francisco
yeah,
Symphony, or you're going to listen to the Vienna Phil or the LSO, or
yeah.
you name it. You name orchestras, you name conductors. We're talking about people.
Musicians on another level. That's what
You're
you're
talking
saying.
about people operating on another level,
Yeah,
right? If our go-to is just banders,
Yeah.
that's as good as it's going to get. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there's nothing there,
No.
but to learn, and maybe this was truer in the past when there was arrangements being used a lot
Yeah.
for as contest pieces. You're going to have it today in Cheltenham. Arthur
Yeah.
Bliss's music, the
Yeah.
Checkmate, the Adam Zero,
Yeah.
good quality music,
Mm.
right? So they will obviously listen to the band recording, but anybody with any sense will go and listen to orchestras
Oh,
as well.
absolutely.
So you're learning from players, organisations, conductors that are better than us.
Yeah.
Surely
Yeah.
that's going to help
Yeah.
improve standards, right?
Well, you could certainly tell the bands that had done that
Right.
at the weekend.
Okay. And it seems to me, like I said, that in the main, there will be discrepancies and people that will argue
Yeah.
the toss. In the main, it seems to be that the people with musical approaches and players who could match that
Yeah.
have been rewarded,
They
which
have.
is what
Big
else can you
style.
ask for? What else can
No.
you ask for? You can't.
No.
One thing that did concern me slightly, we've been talking a little bit about this social media or social theatre,
Yeah.
as it seems to be known now, is just the way things are reported sometimes. Because you came up with you saw a little article, didn't you? And you
Yeah.
were just a little bit put out by it.
Yeah. Well, from the viewpoint, it's putting pressure on people.
Yeah,
Basically, that article was in the band press about Brighouse being the new YBS and all this. Well, YBS was YBS, Brighouse is Brighouse.
hmm
End of story. And I was concerned that if Brighouse are just about to go into a bit of a purple patch, excuse the pun,
ho ho.
um, they don't need the pressure putting on them. And I
No,
think we're too quick to keep comparing them to other people, other organisations. And, David King has been working hard with that band, with his residents. I think he's been there 17 years, I think he went in 2009, if memory serves me right. But, you know, his, his musical ethos is certainly hanging in that band now.
right.
But that don't make them YBS, and people shouldn't be saying that because they were two very, very different
Yeah,
organisations.
I agree with that. I mean, and at the time, um, the YBS band of that era were widely recognised. There have been
Mm.
bands like this right through banding history,
Yeah, there has.
right? Where they were obviously the best band going. Obviously, you go
Yeah,
right back to bands like Foden's in the 1930s,
yeah,
consistently wiping the floor with everybody,
yeah.
right? You can
Black Diamond in
probably
the
go,
70s, 80s, and 90s.
yeah, you can probably go back further than that
Yeah,
into, a lot further. What we don't want to do now is um, they were the bands that have had that reputation for being the best band were very consistent and won lots of things
yeah,
in short periods, lots
yeah,
of contests, either consecutively or they'd maybe win 5 out of the 8 contests around about, and we're not talking areas
no,
or the second tier ones like areas,
Masters
the All
or
England
that.
Masters, English
Yeah,
Nationals, Brass in Concert, anything like that. We're talking about Europeans, Opens, Nationals, those
yeah,
three, right? Where the bands that have been widely recognised as being the best of their era
mm.
have won quite a lot of those contests in reasonably
Year after
quick
year.
succession. Yeah,
Yeah,
right. And I think to put that pressure on Brighouse now is a bit unfair on them.
yeah, I do.
You know.
Yeah. I was chuffed to bits for him because I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
a lot of people there. I know David especially well.
yeah,
He's a man I much admire. And I was just thought, when I saw that article, I thought, why on earth are you trying to put pressure on him like this? This is just ridiculous.
yeah,
It just hurt me a little bit, but please, Brighouse, enjoy the moment. I hope you do well at London. All this, I'd love for them to have their own purple patch where people recognise them for being Brighouse and not comparing them to another band.
Yeah, that's all you can do. You can only be the
Yep,
best you can be at that
absolutely.
time.
Yep.
But I think, yeah, I agree. It's it's ramping it up a bit,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's needed.
I'll be
Just let
honest,
them be
Sandy,
themselves.
that contest was the best contest I've been to for quite a few years now.
Right. Okay.
And I can't wait for the next one. It
Yeah.
really filled my appetite.
Good.
So everybody, we've had a little moan as well tonight. We won't be a Smith and Grezzy without a little moan, would it, Sandy?
Oh no.
So them are the area pieces for 2026. I hope you all enjoy the pieces. I certainly will. So thank you, Sandy and the panel, for picking a great one for me. And happy banding to everybody. We'll see you all again soon.